Morning, folks. It would appear the glitches have been ironed out of the Restream programme, so hopefully we won't have any problems this morning. So we'll get Facebook on board and we'll get this underway because there's some doozies in the paper today. In the papers today, some crackers. And we'll get to that in a minute. That's me just being notified that I'm live. That was good, didn't it? Okay, that's Facebook on board. Good morning, folks. Indy Truck Davey out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, on the 4th of the 2nd, 2025, where it is a pretty dank, drizzly, miserable morning, but warm at 10 degrees. Okay, let's get this broadcast underway, shall we? Or shall we wait until Facebookers are on board? I think we'll wait until Facebookers are on board. We'll have a wee look to see who's in. Hi, Christina, Mad Monk, Jim Stevens, Kirsty Folds, Stephen Bankier, Leipson. Hi, Gillian. Hey, we've got Mark Telfer, Melanie McKitt. Oh, Facebooker, Melanie. Good morning. Hi, Diane, George, Lenny. I see Reagan Oates there. C.L. Sutherland. Martin the Hippie. Aki's Mad. And a couple of footballers in, the football fans in. Stephen Nichol. And moderators. Good morning, mods. Let's go this back down to the chat. We'll get this underway. I can only get down. That's better. Right. What the hell happened there? Right, good morning, Dundee. Okay, let's get this underway, shall we? First up this morning, the Scotsman. If we can find a burger. And what's the Scotsman got for us this morning? The Scotsman has Labour hoodwinking public over lower energy bill claims, and GB Energy boss admits creation of 1,000 jobs could take 20 years. It could take 20 years. GB Energy will never, and I mean never, create 1,000 jobs. Because GB Energy is just a hedge fund or a grants body where companies will submit applications for grants for the government to build green energy projects. Now, most of these green energy projects will be wind powered. I've built wind farms, folks. One turbine. At the time when I was building them, they were 120 feet high or so, the ones we were building. We were putting in footage, anchors, basically, into the ground. And it was about 120 tonne. Cubic metres of concrete, sorry. 120 cubic metres of concrete. So that was 6 mixer trucks, 1 concrete pump driver, operator, 2 concrete workers with big vibrators going down into concrete. You got all the air out it drops into this footage, this hole, and in the hole's a wee bar cage. So what we got there, we've got maybe a couple of mixer drivers doing runs. You've got 1 pump operator, 2 concrete workers, site supervisor. There's 6 people. They put the fittings in. After the fittings in and set, you've got crane operator, couple of guys bolting the thing together. Sparks, quite a few, wiring up the turbines and run them out to transformers to then run it into the grid. We're not talking about thousands per project. We're not talking 1,000 men per project. You're talking maybe 120, 130 men a project. And the project maybe lasts 3 or 4 years maximum. Mental. Looks like I've got some problems starting here, folks. Anyway, let's take that down. As I say, but GB Energy will never ever create thousands of jobs. GB Energy is a body that will give out government grants or government loans to get projects underway. So what's that going to be? An office with 20 or 30 people maximum? And when you need lawyers to look after their contracts and things like that, you draft them in and you let them go again. So never be thousands of jobs with GB Energy. Right, let's move on. Next up's the National. What's the National got for us? If I can find the bloody thing. Let me see, this will be the last one on the page. Here we go. National. Exclusive. Coming and push to have more Scots workers on the traitors. So this is a TV story, I think. This guy Cummins, I think I've seen his face before somewhere, but as you know, folks, I don't pay attention to television. Anyway, the main headline: Labour's broken promise on GB Energy jobs for Scotland. Foreign boss says pledge to create work for 1,000 is 20 years away from being met. We did say at the time you were being hoodwinked. We did explain that GB Energy was nothing more than an office that would give out government loans to get projects underway. We did explain that would only maybe employ 20, 30 people maximum. There you go. Nobody listened. Oh, yay, GB Energy, bring down costs, create thousands of jobs. Create fuck all jobs. Bloody shame, really. But we do know that the Labour Party, we do know that they came to power on misleading the people. But not just the people of Scotland, the people right across the UK. And I mean right across the UK. Right, next up we have their answer. They don't put their answers up, and that has Tara Teens. Apparently a 14-year-old was stopped and searched, and he had a gun on him. But we'll get a wee bit more of that in a minute. They're also claiming that kids are going about tooled up. But when you get into the actual article, it tells you there was only 120 odd people stopped and searched in Scotland last year. Only 123 of the people stopped and searched in Scotland last year were carrying a weapon, a knife. Some of them were young. Some of them were youths. In fact, the record's claiming some of them were children. But out of the 123 people, how many had a legitimate reason for carrying a knife? There was a truck driver I used to carry a knife all the time. But I mean, there was a balmy batshit story here in Scotland yesterday when it comes to weapons. Apparently a guy had been reported by a motorist for carrying a weapon. Now, my wife works right next to that junction, junction 6A, and there's a bridge there that goes from Holytown to Chapel Hall. And apparently a guy was spotted carrying an axe and reported by a motorist. Now, how many legitimate reasons is there to carry an axe? Thousands. We've recently had storms. Maybe the guy's been to see his mate that owns an axe to borrow the axe and is walking from Holy Town back to Chapel Hall to his home to clear up some sort of mess in his backyard or whatever. But there you go. Apparently, traffic was stopped for about 6 hours, 8 hours, and a special team of police were sent out to search for this guy carrying an axe. By the way, they haven't found him. The reason why they haven't found him is it wasn't a mad axeman running about. As I say, the mere probability is that we've had storms recently. This guy's went to borrow some equipment for a friend and has been walking over that bridge and been spotted walking over that bridge with an axe. And somebody's phoned up, axeman on the loose in Chapel Hall or Junction 6A of the M8 motorway. As I say, but it's more likely it was somebody who'd borrowed an axe or somebody who had bought an axe and was making their way home to clean up a mess or to undertake a project. Fucking world's gone mad. But out of 123 people who were stopped and searched during stop and searches here in Scotland who were found to carry weapons, a few of them were kids apparently. But see, that gets worse on the next one, folks. Next one up is the Looney Rag the Express. I'll find this one as quick as I can. There we go. The Looney Rag the Express. This is brilliant, this one. Absolutely brilliant, folks. 14-year-old caught carrying gun amid juvenile crime wave. And I thought, juvenile crime wave? Have I fucking missed something? Alright, a 14-year-old carrying a gun. Doesn't it say what type of gun? Was it a slug gun, a BB gun? Was it a real gun? Anyway, 14-year-old with a gun and juvenile crime wave. I thought, that doesn't sound fucking right. A juvenile crime wave. If I remember right, there was flares up in Dundee at the firework night there last November, and in Edinburgh there's been a bit of youth unrest. But I don't remember there being a crime wave, so I thought I better go and look here. I don't want to mislead anybody, so I went and had a look. And this is what I got. The results AI overview. No really keen in AI, but that's a free prescription one. Hold on. We'll get to that one when we get to. There we go, that's the right one, so let's put it up. Well, there is no widespread juvenile crime wave in Scotland. Recent reports indicate a concerning rise in youth violence, particularly in certain areas like Edinburgh, as I said, Edinburgh and Dundee, with some police chiefs linking this to social media usage and isolation caused by the pandemic, raising concerns about potential trends in youth crime. However, overall crime rates involving youth people remain relatively low compared with other demographics. So actually, antisocial behaviours at an all-time low, youth crimes at an all-time low, but there has been some flare-ups. But the Looney Rag the Express's claim that there is a juvenile crime wave in Scotland, it's absolute rubbish. Now, in the latest report, apparently, it has stated that there has been an increase in juvenile violence in some areas, but weapon carrying here in Scotland is at an all-time low. And it has been since the Glasgow Initiative, where violent crime amongst the people was treated more as a mental health issue, a health issue. And there was programmes put in place, there was amnesties where people could turn weapons in and things like that. And it worked. Glasgow went from being the most violent city in Europe to the friendliest city in Europe. It works. But this is nonsense for the rancid. It's nonsense from the Express Terror Teens, for fuck's sake. I don't know what about you guys love, but the teens around here are extremely polite and helpful. It's quite, I grew up in a housing estate. To have the teens being so polite instead of cheeky wee fucking monkeys, it's new to me. Right, let's move on. The Telegraph tells us Scots. Well, I'll find it. I'll put it up because this one really, it really made me wonder because, what is that? That one. Get rid of that one. Sorry about this, folks. I'm meaning to shut the boxes down as I go along. Anyway, the Daily Telegraph has Scots NHS spend £8 on pack of painkillers. Now, apparently, to dispense free paracetamol here in Scotland that costs £8 through a free prescription thing. Yet when I googled these and looked at the figures, sorry, when I use my search engine, I don't want to advertise. When I use my search engine and looked at the figures, we have central procurement for for drugs in the NHS, and the idea is that all 4 NHSs put their needs for drugs to Public Health England, and they buy in bulk, and then it's spread out. But according to what we're being told, it's £8 to dispense a pack of paracetamol in Scotland, but it's only £3 for the NHS in England to dispatch or dispense a pack of paracetamol. I thought, that's fucking strange. So I went and had a look, and as far as I can tell, there isn't any specific figures on this. But what I did find out, and I'll put it up in a second, I found out that the free prescription scheme here in Scotland, I'll stop sharing that, I'll put this up. The free prescription scheme here in Scotland amounts to 1.3 billion a year. Right, and that equates to £250 per person in Scotland. Fucking bargain. Now, apparently, since the free prescription was introduced in April 2011, the cost has increased by 25%. Well, that doesn't surprise us, does it? I mean, we've had some fucking profit gouging, especially during the pandemic. But when I looked for figures specific to paracetamol, the last report specific to paracetamol I could find was in 2018, where since the beginning of free prescriptions, the Scottish Government spent £57 million in free paracetamol prescriptions. So 57 million. So I haven't got a figure for you on how much was spent on paracetamol when buying it in bulk, and how much it's costing to put it out. What I can say is, there will be additional cost to dispensing it. Because you've got the cost of running the pharmacy, you've got the cost of the person's job who's dispensing from the pharmacy, you've got to pay the pharmacist, and there's the overheads, say, for running the establishment. So it will run to more than £3 a pack, but £8. I'd need to see the data, and I'm afraid I can't find it yet. Now, apparently, this was the Tories that dug this bollocks up, so we'll need to look. The argument, of course, is that free prescriptions are absurd. That was the headline in the Times. Free prescriptions are absurd. No, they're no. They're no. There's people in England dying because they can't afford their prescriptions. There's nobody in Scotland dying because they can't afford their prescription. There's nobody in Scotland deciding whether they're going to eat or have their medicine. There's nobody in Scotland deciding if they're going to heat or have their medicine. They might worry about heating and eating for other reasons, but prescription drugs is not one of them. And at £250 per person per year, it's a fucking bargain. An absolute bargain. And this nonsense that free prescriptions are absurd. No, what's absurd is making people decide between fucking dying and eating in England. And why do I say England? Because prescriptions are free in Wales and they're free in Northern Ireland. It's only in fucking England people are forced to decide between eating and taking their prescription medicines. Right, next up with the Herald. And I'm not going to bother putting it up. The Herald says sports body looks to shed jobs in cost-cutting drive. Apparently, Athletic Scotland are laying off and they're looking for people to voluntarily give up their jobs. Okay. The other loony rag the Daily Fail has. I'm going to put this one up because it's funny as fuck. It really is. Let me get rid of some of these ones I don't need anymore. But I mean, this is a cracker of a headline, folks. A cracker of a headline. Love it. And I must have shut it. It's not there, so I'll tell you where it is. Oh, there it is there, aye, before it. So let's put it up and share it. Absolute cracker of a headline. You could only get this headline in the Daily Fail. Swinney forced to reject plans for curfew and restrictions on pets. Family cats are safe from an SNP ban. Now, this is a totally made up fucking story. And it's an annual made up story. Where pets are blamed for, especially cats, for decreasing garden birds and things like that. Now, we do have some restrictions and some requests of pet owners here in Scotland. And it's round the wild cat, which is an important part of the ecosystem, because they've been mixed breeding with domestic cats. But this was nonsense, asked for Swinney forced to reject. Somebody asked him about it in the press, and Swinney was like, what are you fucking talking about? There's no plans to ban cats. Bugger off, you bampot. Totally made up story. Funny as hell. Absolutely funny. Going to ban cats, for fuck's sake. The Scottish Government get better things today. We'll leave that to the boffins to come up with mad ideas and put them into government reports. Just because some boffins put something mad in a government report doesn't mean the government's actually going to fucking do it. Oof. Fucking Swinney forced to reject plans to curfew and restrict pets. Bums. As if the First Minister's not got better things to do with his time. Right, the Times has NHS withhold Nottingham report to protect Carl's privacy. Don't know anything about that. And apparently the PM won't back the EU in trade war. That's because he's no fucking backbone or brains. Why do I say no backbone or brains? Well, we know he's no backbone. He's your average war criminal behind fucking everything else. Anyway, the reason why we know he's no brains is because even after exiting the EU, 46.7% of the UK Union's exports still go to the EU. Only 17.6% of our trade is done with America. 17.6 is still a high figure. But if I was going to protect my exporting businesses, I would be siding with the EU. Because we do almost 3 times more trade with the EU. So, absolute fucking idiots. And as David and I were talking about yesterday, Starmer will roll over to Trump. So he will. And the eye says UK cabinet tensions on Brexit migration deal for under 30s as Germany makes new plea to Starmer. So why would Germany be playing to Starmer to allow the under-30s free movement? Surely they would be imploring Starmer to come to his fucking senses, rejoin Erasmus, and allow free movement for the under-30s. We need them. We need them as seasonal workers. The seasonal workers in Europe want to come here, earn a few quid, and go back home to their universities. We need them. The right thing to do is to give the under-30s their free movement back. We're running away today, it was a pure so. We're running over a bit. So, why would there be tension? Just get your fucking head in the game, Labour. We need these under-30s to come here for seasonal work. I mean, farmers are already cutting back on the amount of crops they plant by 20%. That means food prices are going to get fucking higher. Why have they cut back by 20%? It's not that the land can't produce 20% more. It's just they can't harvest it. Because we don't have seasonal workers coming from Europe. Right, the scum runs on, a royal story. And it's Cancer Day tribute. Say Trees Mummy. And it's a picture of Kate Middleton in a forest, and I think it was taken by her son Louis. Who fucking cares? Right, the Metro has jailbreaking spy for Iran, handed 14 years, dangerous fool who put lives at risk. Now, this is UK military soldier who apparently was passing information to Iran. Got caught, got put into remand, waiting trial, escaped prison, got caught again, and now he's been sentenced to 14 years. Now, according to the Ministry of Defence, he was a dangerous attention seeker who handed over the name of SAS personnel to the Iranian government, putting them in danger. They're only in danger if they're up to something they shouldn't be, which they normally are. Right, what's the star got for us today? Shall we have a wee look? Shut the rest of this nonsense down. And the star, here we go. What's the star got for us today? Hunt for leader of free world's errant cerebrum. Oh, hey, that's a big one for the star. Anyway, missing brain. Last spotted being batshit crazy. Sparking a global trade war, spooking financial markets, and accusing baffled Britain of being out of line. Two things about that, which makes it a really good headline, and it makes it a classic star headline, is that I didn't know that a landmass could become baffled and out of line. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the people on the landmass might get baffled and out of line, but the landmass, it tends to be pretty steady and hasn't really got much mood to it. Rock, sand, stone, they tend not to have much in the way of emotion as far as I know. But there you go, a baffled landmass. And of course, Trump's missing brain. It's a classic star headline. Give us a smile, star. As you always do. We like the star. So, we say, I'm going to go and have a look at this report on £8 to dispense a pack of paracetamol on prescription here in Scotland. But the fact that the free prescription scheme is only costing £250 per person, and of course not everybody needs free prescriptions. I'm not on any drugs. But every now and again I will need drugs as I got older. Listen, Mark, it is like tarmac, dangerous roads, an inanimate object. So I am going to go and look at this shit that's been dug up with the Tories and have a look and see why it would only be £3 for free for paracetamol to be dispensed by the NHS in England, and why it's costing £8 to dispense them in Scotland. Because you can remember, although people do pay for prescription in England, no, everybody pays for prescriptions. The unemployed will get help with their prescriptions. Pensioners don't pay prescription fees. Those in long-term illnesses get exemptions. In fact, the amount of people who pay for prescription in England is probably less than the amount of people who don't. It's one of the reasons why we did away with prescription charges here. We saved £2.5 million a year on administrating the charged prescription scheme. Oh, Sanjeev Gulhani, the man who's always shouting the waiting lists in NHS bad, while sitting in Parliament, leaving his patients in Maryhill a doctor short. That fucking idiot. Anyway, folks, that's what I've got for you today. So there was crackers in the headlines. Yeah. Child 14 stopped and searched, had a gun. What type of gun? It was a water pistol. Anyway, mental. 123 people stopped and searched in Scotland were carrying a weapon, and some of them were teenagers, some of them were kids. But when you think about it, the size of the population and all the stop and searches that happened, and only 123 were found to be carrying a weapon. I'll take that. I'll take that. Right, we'll catch his other tomorrow. Look after each other. Oh, aye, Charlie got off. He's happy. He's happy. He's lying next to me. He's happy. You know. So look after each other. See you tomorrow morning, 10:30. Don't be late. You're on the fucking naughty step. Bye for now.